Welcome to the presentation that was presented at Nacurh 2013 on the Art Transition Plan. Just to give you a little bit of background in the history of the committee developed in late 2010 where a group of advisors, regional advisors, was sitting down at one of the conferences and realizing that there were many differences between the art program between each region, whether it was how the materials were presented, how it was all tracked, or a combination of both. And they realized that some things needed to improve for this to be a sustainable program. Then a regional advisor work group was put together, asked to look at the overall art program. This group started to ask and send out a survey asking people what they thought was valuable about the art program, if they thought it should stay around, if they thought it should stay around with some improvements and other sort of feedback. And what came back was that it definitely was a good training program, but needed to be updated, needed more consistency in how it was presented, and definitely needed a better tracking system. And then an art task force was formed that included not only advisors but also students to start looking at all of the feedback that was given. The biggest piece that initially needed to happen was for art to have a home. This was started by a group of advisors and really was self-sustaining, but when it came to updating and improving, there was no one designated to do so. So at Nacurh 2012, legislation was presented to the National Board of Directors at Nacurh, in which it was approved that Nacurh would have a hosting site for art, and that an art standards committee would be created for the ongoing development of the program. This was then approved at the corporate business session at Nacurh 2012. From there, the art standards committee began meeting, and it includes all 8 regions and offices. We also have students from the National Board and the National NRHH Board, regional advisors, and some alumni. Throughout this last year, some of the things that have happened with the Art Standard Committee, there was a advisor competency survey that was sent out, and if you've ever been to an art session, what this did is it looked at the top 10 competencies that an advisor needs from an advisor perspective and then from a student perspective. We looked at those competencies and actually updated some of them to include some of the things that wouldn't have been previously considered, much like technology and social media and some of our new laws. We then sent that out to all of the regions and processed the data, and we had about 457 respondents, and it was a pretty close split of students and professionals. From there, we identified core advisor competencies. Based on that, we decided to start creating a new structure that included learning outcomes for each session. And from there, we've also planned for the transition of advisors who have gone through the art program going into the new curriculum, so that recognizing that people did not want to start over. After that, we also gave an update at all the regions, getting feedback on what we had presented, and that happened at the No Frills Minis conferences time. These are the new top 10 competencies, although if you've looked at the previous ones, you'll notice that they're fairly similar and actually didn't include any of the new competencies that we included. There's definitely still some crossover and agreement among students and advisors as far as some common things, the top one being that serve as an information resource. I'll give you a few seconds here to look through this top 10. So, as far as the new structure, how it works is we realized that oftentimes people were trying to take what they had learned from art at conferences that was very heavy in the Nacurh affiliated areas and bring it back to their home campuses. But oftentimes they were still missing the heart and the basics of advisor training. So we've created a new level, and that is level 1, and it's purely for our Hall Council advisors, and that will occur on home campuses. Then there's a level 2, which will be very similar to what we would consider the core courses currently. This would cover upper level skills, very much designated for RHA and NRHH advisors, and this would only be available at Nacurh affiliated conferences. At level 3, this would cover skills related to even more of an upper level, advising at regional and Nacurh levels, and then just giving back to the profession through writing. Again, this would only be available at Nacurh affiliated conferences. In level 1, you'll see the basic pieces that we're looking at covering. The nice thing about this is there's an opportunity to use this training program with not just Hall Council advisors, but student activity advisors or student organization advisors across your campus. I'll give you a moment to look at these. And the next level, again, you'll see it very similar to the current art structure. The biggest piece that's going to be different is a level 1 train the trainer that will be part of level 2. This will be a half-day workshop, and it will be required for people to go through this to be able to train on the level 1 on their home campuses. The reason for this is we received lots of feedback about the consistency of how things were presented. We hope that this will accomplish that, and will also give people tools on how to be good presenters. And here's level 3. Again, very much pieces about Nacurh and advising students at those levels, whether it's conference team advising, distance advising, or hosting someone on your own campus. And then it does have the level 2 train the trainer. So again, this is a way for people to become trained in how to present on level 2. Some miscellaneous things that we as a committee have not completely fleshed out, and we have a lot more work to do, but we do know that there will be some experiential requirements that we would like to implement with all 3 levels. Some of those that we've thought about is including the years of advising experience. We don't know how many years we'll ask for, or if it will be similar to what it was previously, or even the question about how to count graduate experience, but that will exist. At the upper levels, there will definitely be conference attendance that will be included, we believe. Most importantly, we do believe the article publication is something that we want to keep in. The reason for that is we think if there are better clarifications about what would be qualified as an article, we might have more people writing about it. And it's also a way for us to give back to the profession. There is not a lot of information out there on advising, and we really feel it's our role to continue to work on getting that out there. Another piece that we know we need to work on still is an assessment plan for not only the individual sessions, so each session will have some sort of assessment, but the overall program to ensure that we're saying what we're saying we do actually happens. Some other things that we've thought about is potential webinars, podcasts available for the level 1 sessions, and maybe even the train the trainer sessions, so that there is a means to do that beyond the conferences. What's happened at Nacurh 2013, there was an update similar to this to the NBD and the NNB. We held 2 programming sessions for advisors covering this exact presentation, specifically with the transition plan, and then also soliciting help from other advisors, and we'll talk about that next. So this summer, one of the biggest things that we're doing is recruiting advisors to assist in the session development. We've created the different levels and we've created learning outcomes, but we now want to enlist the help of others to really get the session's development. And that would include not only a presentation, but also a packet, some reflection questions for each presentation session, and an assessment of that. And then from there we're going to form, once we recruit, we're going to form session development committees. This will be no more than 4 people put together that are interested in the topic, in a certain topic, and they will be putting together the actual session. December, we'll ask that those sessions be turned in for review by the standards committee. And then we'll start looking at those different sessions and making sure that they flow, that they're consistent in how it's presented. And at No Frills Minis 2014, two things. One, that'll be the last conference that the current art curriculum is presented at. And then we will also hope to pilot some of the half-day training, the train the trainers in some regions where we're able to, where there's people that have been working on it. Now at Nacurh 2014, our hope is, as we celebrate Nacurh's 60th birthday and NRHH's 50th birthday, that our gift back to the organization is to have an inaugural art year. We would hope to be able to present train the trainer half-day sessions throughout the entire time, so that there's 4 of those available, and then to also have the individual sessions available. Our plan is that those folks who worked on the individual sessions from summer to December, if available and interested, would be able to present their topic at Nacurh 2014. This way we can really get it launched and rolled out, and those are the people that will really be experts on that specific topic. As far as the eligibility, often the big question is, I've gone through all of this art previously, now what happens with it? We want to honor that. And so if you have completed art or partial, which we're going to say 51% or more, which is 5 sessions minimum, we're going to ask that everyone go through the Train the Trainer Level 1 so that we all start on the same page. And then, as I had mentioned, the development committee members will also be able to present at Nacurh 2014, just their session. Beyond Nacurh 2014, there are several things that are also needing to happen that will be somewhat ongoing and may even be able to be rolled out near 2014 or shortly after. Again, a big piece of feedback is people were not able to access their information as far as what they had completed. We're currently in the exploration stages of looking at a more user-friendly database for tracking. Our hope is something where people can log in and see their status. Once they complete the program in that database, they would then be able to see the presentation materials and all the packets that they would need. Another thing that we need to continue to develop, we do have a new web page. You will see it there, www.nacurh.org/art. And there is some basic information, but we hope to have a little bit more information about art so that we can start promoting it and directing people to that page for greater information. And then there's going to be some ongoing development of art. We want to make sure that this is a sustainable program, that we continue to think about the hot topics, and that those things are covered as the years go on. So some of the frequently asked questions that we've received is that you've already started, finished, or almost done with the current art, and are we going to grandfather people in? Again, we ask that everyone take the Level 1 Train the Trainer to train on their own campuses, and the Level 2 Train the Trainer if they want to be recognized as completing art. What do you get when finishing art? We really don't have a system yet in place as far as what will people receive upon completion, but as you'll see there, we do have some ideas, whether it's a certificate of completion, a letter to their supervisor acknowledging that completion and what that means, their name in the regional newsletter and corporate report, and maybe even a pin if there's financial backing to do that. Why can't I present Level 2 or 3 on my campus? So it's important to know that in 2012, the Advisor Resource Training Program was formally adopted by Nacurh Incorporated. And we want to make sure that as part of that relationship, that the information presented in Level 2 and 3 is very much part of Nacurh and really relates to the organization. And so we feel it's imperative that those trainings occur at the regional and national conferences. The one difference there that we're exploring is the Train the Trainers and being able to offer those at our regional and Nacurh conferences so that people can continue to develop their professional advising skills at all levels. Will there be a cost for this program? Right now, we do not believe there will be a fee for this new program. There was a point in time where we were exploring potentially a basic add-on fee for advisors, or much like a pre-conference workshop, asking people to pay a little bit more. But at this point in time, we feel like we will be able to manage and get some financial backing through a request from Nacurh to support some of those areas that we had talked about, whether it's database development or basic support of the program. How can you help? We would love for some assistance in the development of the detailed content, and we need as many people as possible to do so. So if you're interested, there's a link here to a survey, and it's just a short interest form that lets us know that you're interested in participating and gets some basic information for us to put committees together. You'll also see a QR code down on the bottom next to the Nacurh links that'll also take you directly to the survey. The other place that you can find the survey is if you go to www.nacurh.org/art, there's a link to the survey there. All survey respondents need to happen by June 15th. If you have any further questions about the new art program or how it will transition, or you have ideas for the Art Standards Committee, we would love the feedback. Please visit us at www.nacurh.org/art, and you will find all of our contact information there.